Conscientious. As I've said many times, and I don't want to be repetitive or mislead you in your, make you think I don't think you know what you're doing. But most of these stories and lessons are no more than 5 to 6 minutes long. And that's a purposeful thing. It is not done because we are not conscientious. It's done to allow you the time to answer the questions and to discuss your answers. If you listen to me, you're going to remember 2%. If you listen to me and answer the questions in writing, you're going to remember 60 to 80%. If you listen to me, answer the questions, and discuss it with an accountability partner or with a group, you will remember 80 to 100%. Now that in itself is the definition of conscientious. If you're a conscientious person, you will gather or glean 80 to 100% from this curriculum. If you lack the ability to be conscientious, you'll gain 2%. Because all you do is listen to the stories. The stories are never going to be very long. They're going to be short so that you can answer the questions, you can discuss the answers. And we've talked about it before. It's no different than teaching math. In math, you learn a concept. Teacher teaches a concept. You'll learn 2%. You have 10 problems to do. If you do all 10, you're being conscientious. You'll learn 60 to 80%. If you get on a blackboard or on a computer or something and you discuss how you got your answers, you remember 80 to 100%. That makes you a conscientious person. Our grandson lived with us for several years after he graduated from high school and went to college. We lived in rural Oklahoma, way out in the country. And he was not the most conscientious driver that there was. And so he backed out of the driveway and he turned in the road. And of course in Oklahoma you have wet, muddy roads, and went back down the road going out of the house. Well, my brother owned the property and he left big ruts. And so my brother came over and said, TJ, you've got to fix those ruts. You can't just leave those ruts in the yard. And so I said, TJ, you got to do what he tells you. And so he got out there and I didn't pay any attention to it. And then my brother comes over and he said, have you seen what he did? No, and I just knew it was not going to be a good thing. And he said, you can't even tell where he drove out there. I mean, he dug stuff up. He went over it. He must have spent hours out there fixing those ruts. I said, well, that's good. And then my wife always mows. I mean, she doesn't even let me on the riding lawnmower. And she would tell TJ, you need to go out and pick up the sticks before I mow so that I don't run over the sticks in the yard. Now, what she was talking about were the big sticks that you get caught up in a mower. And then I would come home and she'd say, do you know what he did? And I would be thinking the worst. And she said, he's picking up twigs. I mean, there ain't a stick out there in that yard, not a twig. And I said, oh, he was the most conscientious, still is, the most conscientious person that I've known personally. If you gave him something to do, he did it exactly right. It was almost like a work of art. Well, he went to college 4 years. He was a first team All-American football player. He was the defensive player of the year in his conference. He was the defensive player of the year in his region. And talking to his coach, what do you think the one word that kept coming up? TJ's the most conscientious player I've ever coached. He has such an attention to detail. That's what being conscientious is. It's like my dad used to say, if you're going to do something, do it right. If you're not going to do it right the first time, when are you going to find time to do it right again? Be conscientious. When you're given a task to do, no matter what it is, be conscientious. When you're doing this curriculum, be conscientious. Listen, write your answers, and discuss your answers. That's being conscientious, and that is going to make you the best you that you can be.